Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. As the market is breaking out and continuing higher, we're now finally starting to see a little bit more action inside of the altcoins. Altcoins have now begun outperforming. Ethereum has broken out against its Bitcoin pair, and this is where we ultimately end up seeing the first real alt season of the cycle. You could maybe draw the conclusion that prior to the breakout of 25K, we saw alt season, and we definitely did, but I think the next one coming is going to be much bigger than the last, and we have the opportunity of making a lot of profit in the process. So for today's video, I'm going to break it down, what we can expect moving forward over the next couple months, and how this Bitcoin price action is about to play out moving forward from here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are to start off today's video, taking a look at Bitcoin, and as you guys can see, Bitcoin is handling this correction very well. We had that pullback right here, and Bitcoin has more or less just continued to show more and more strength. It's nearing a breakout of those range highs. I was a little bit skeptical with this sell-off here, just mainly because it looked like such a big rejection. You know, we could have came all the way back down to that main trend line, but to see Bitcoin powering through it shows that there's still plenty more strength. And one of the things that I was watching last night that had me thinking that we actually could see more upside was the fact that when we come over here and look at the total market cap was actually retesting pretty much this last resistance level until we start sending it upwards of about 1.6 and potentially 1.8 trillion dollars. We have the same sort of gap here inside of both of these markets, where once the total market cap broke out of this resistance, we don't really have much resistance until this entire area, pretty much right here. So this entire area we have to fill because we don't have much in the way. And so that's why I think that the next move up is going to be very powerful. Now, the correction that we have been seeing over the last 24 hours on the shorter time frames, if I jump in here, this correction that we were seeing inside of the total market cap, it really didn't do anything because all that really was a retest of these highs right here before we really start that next descent upwards. So to see Bitcoin powering through it wasn't quite as surprising as I initially thought, just mainly because the total market cap looked so good. And this is something to keep a note of, guys. If you guys are wondering which charts to be looking at, I would highly advise looking at the total market cap, because the total market cap chart obeys certain price levels a little bit more accordingly. With Bitcoin against the dollar, it's a little bit more volatile. And so when we're watching psychological levels, playing trend lines and things like that, I've found that the market follows the total market cap and it trends a lot better than anything else. And so seeing the total market cap having that pullback, but knowing that that pullback was just simply a retest of these range highs, gave me confidence that this was going to end up being continuation. And so to see Bitcoin powering through this is a positive sign nonetheless. Jumping out of the longer time frames, what we're looking at next for Bitcoin, the interesting thing about Bitcoin is the fact that it's already cleared this entire resistance level that the total market cap is still going to be working on. The total market cap has this entire thing to start going to. In my opinion, if Bitcoin goes all the way up to 48,500, that's where we're going to end up seeing the total market cap basically having filled this entire gap right up here. That's when the total market cap will come up to this level. It will probably start that next pullback once Bitcoin gets up to that level. And that's kind of the way that I'm going to be mapping out the market from here. We know that Bitcoin's leading everything. The total market cap's pretty far behind it in comparison. But we have to keep in mind that the total market cap is also factoring in the altcoins. And the altcoins to me look really, really solid, even though they're lagging, even though they're a little bit further behind in their cycles. All of these are about to be breaking out of their long-term accumulations. We've seen the total market cap right here. It's now successfully broken out of this ascending triangle, which if we're looking at how long it's spent inside of this, you know, we're looking at over 500 days in this ascending triangle. And so that's what gives me confidence that we could actually see this thing go higher than this level. You know, if Bitcoin goes to 48,500, this one will probably stop short of that just because the altcoins. But if the altcoins end up outperforming in a big way and they're actually carried up a lot higher than what we've seen in prior cycles, we could see both of these fill that entire gap. And I really don't think you guys should be surprised of that. The big thing that we can have is our positions packed and ready to go right now beforehand, because if this thing ends up taking off quicker than we expect, the only people that are going to feel bad about it is the people that weren't accumulating enough enough back down in here. And so the people that are in that situation, you know, you don't have much time left before this thing really starts leaving. This is one of the more bullish bear market bottoms that we've ever seen to begin a new cycle, and I think that the markup period in this event is going to be up a little bit quicker. Now, the total market cap for the altcoins, they're a little bit lower, right? We're looking at them now retesting near those range highs, and so right now, the altcoins are at a very important point. If we are able to get a push through this level and come basically to the same level that Bitcoin just pulled back from, make a run up to this level, maybe even a little higher, and then retest that, that would really be, you know, what would make the most sense for me anyways coming into this next move. One more final push for the altcoins, for them to break out of the range highs and then to go through some other type of consolidation, maybe as a retest of those range highs as support. I think that so far we've already broken out with the total market cap. So as this thing starts to climb up a little bit higher, as we go into this next move, altcoin total market cap is definitely going to lag, and so we're going to watch and see what happens. But regardless, you know, the total market cap's broken out the range highs. Altcoins are about to be doing the same. They're working on it right now. And one of the things I love about the altcoin chart is if we come over here, we remove these drawing tools, and we actually pull it up to the Wall Street cheat sheet. In my opinion, this cycle has one of the better comparisons to the Wall Street cheat sheet that we've ever really had in any of the prior cycles. And I think that it's an amazing comparison to be looking at right now. So when we're comparing it to this chart, we're going to get a better observation by actually just looking at the decline, because it actually lines up very much the same. We get the same sort of blow off top, right? This is the cycle top that we're going to be looking at. This is euphoria, the very big blow off top of the move. And then we start this initial decline. And this is the first lower high of the cycle. And this is where we get into the bear market, where this is considered complacency. This is where most people are still expecting it's going to come back up. We're going to get continuation. And this is just a short-term correction before that next leg up. That's actually what I was thinking if you were watching my channel all the way back in the bear market. And so complacency leads to that final big capitulation, right? Anxiety, denial, panic. That was what we saw inside of the Terra Luna collapse, all the way down to the June low here. That was where we saw all of these emotions. And the reason why I love this chart is because it teaches us so much about the market cycles, and we're able to see these emotions playing out inside of crypto above and beyond more than any other market cycle I think ever before, because it's a 24/7 market. These things accumulate like crazy. They're also a relatively undervalued asset class, and so because of that, the upside potential is a lot higher. Now, coming into the bottom of the Terra Luna collapse, we get capitulation. This is where the majority of people capitulate, they get liquidated, they're out of the market completely, and then this is really where we go into this long-term bottom formation. Now look at the pattern. Capitulation, anger, and depression. It's pretty much the same thing as here. Capitulation, anger, and then depression. The only difference is this depression makes a lower low past these two, whereas we never really did that. We made a higher high. So we had a little bit of a difference, but the thing about these is they're never going to be 100% the same. In the same way that this chart is just a perfect parabolic top, and our parabolic top was a little bit more volatile than that. So not everything's going to be 100%, but when we're comparing all of these, you guys can be able to see the pattern. And I've been sharing with you guys these charts throughout the entirety of my channel, dating all the way back to July 3rd, 2018, when I first started making YouTube videos. And even before that, when I was trading in the cycles of 2016 and 2017. I had a TradingView account, and I was trying to learn as much as I could, and one of the first things that really helped me get that aha moment, the epiphany of how to be able to learn more and, you know, progress my own trading plan, was when I figured out the emotional psychology of the market cycle. I was able to see how these parabolic rallies work, how these corrections work, and how when we look at Bitcoin, we're able to actually make money off of these. Now that we're at this point, guys, we're entering the disbelief phase, right? And I think that we've already been in that. I think this entire thing was also kind of its own disbelief phase, just because the way that the cycles work are a little bit different. The peak of the bear market bottom was here at the end of the year, right? So when we're comparing these charts, we were uptrending throughout this entire time, all throughout there. We were in an uptrend. Even though most people were still bearish because we were below resistance, I was telling everybody how this was a one-wave impulse and we were going to get continuation from that point. Because when we look at this, it's just a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with your typical A, B, C correction. So when we're looking at this, we knew that this was a one-wave impulse. So I do think that disbelief itself has already happened, and we're already inside of that move here. Most people were bearish. Most people were thinking we still had downside. Even the people that were bullish were still kind of insecure about being bullish. It was just a little bit harder for them to process that, just because what we had went through in the bear market. That's typical. And that's why it's called the disbelief phase, is most people don't actually believe that the bull trend is going to go up again. Only that's exactly what ends up taking place. So I think that we're in between disbelief and even into just the next bull cycle. And a lot of that will be determined by how high we end up going in this next move, right? So we're going to go and remove our drawing tools, and we're going to take a look at this. We're going to get a price target here, and we're going to look at kind of where our next target gives us. So at the top of this, our minimum target for a wave 3 is going to take us all the way to the very bottom where these 2 wicks are of that lower high. So that's our minimum target. If we're looking at a wave 3 impulse, so we know this is wave 1, wave 2 is the ABC correction that we saw. Wave 3 has to go to a minimum target of this 1618. Because if you're understanding Elliott wave theory rules, wave 3 can't be smaller than wave 1. So by using this Fibonacci extension and getting this 1618 number, we're able to see that this is at least the same size as this one wave is. So this is a way that we're able to actually calculate how high we've gone and how far we still need to go. So we finished the wave 2, now we're working on wave 3, and that's what we're seeing inside of this breakout. So on a minimum, we're going to the 1618 if we're going to see this being a confirmed wave 3, and then from there we would expect a wave 4 correction, probably back down to around this lower high right in here, around that 30K support level. And then we would still be expecting to see one more final wave 5 after that. Who knows where that goes realistically. But when we're talking about this, inside of a wave 3, just because our minimum target is a 1618, doesn't mean we can't go all the way up to the 2618 as well. Now this is the total altcoin market cap, so if ETH goes all the way up to $3,500, then at that point we'd probably end up seeing this thing go all the way up to that level too. But in the meantime, with altcoins, they've always relatively lagged, so when we're talking about these things, looking at minimum targets is a good idea, but let's just assume that we have a little bit more of a parabolic move, and then altcoins top in between the 2618 and the 1618, and that would give us a $1 trillion market cap. I think that that's a realistic target moving forward for this next breakout. Altcoins have only finished that first one wave impulse. This next wave 3 is probably going to happen relatively quick in comparison, just because that's the nature of a wave 3. This is where more money comes in, more volume. Generally you make more money inside of that wave 3, and there's generally just more euphoria as a whole. So looking at all of these guys, this thing is setting up in a big way. All of the time that we had to accumulate these things in the downtrend, once we broke out, we got our true confirmation, and that was basically over here in February and March when we first started that true uptrend. So to see us kind of just consolidating, not only have we been consolidating, but if we remove this drawing tool, let's actually just remove these two. But when we're looking at this, we've been consolidating. Let's actually go to a monthly so it's even easier to see. We've been consolidating right on top of that prior highest support, right? This entire level that we've been on, before FTX, we had the bottom, July capitulation, we rallied up, we had the FTX collapse here. Altcoins never made a lower low on the total market cap. And so even inside of this correction, all that was a support and resistance flip. All that was us coming back down and retesting that main level as new support. That's the first true higher high of the new bull trend. So now as we're starting to see this breakout, it's starting to play out in all of the markets. Total market cap's obviously leading the way. But if we see an upswing all the way up to the top of that lower high, you guys got to expect that there's going to be a lot of new money coming into the market. And this cycle could really be the most profitable one that we've been a part of, just because of the way that there's more money involved than ever before. There's more ways to get this publicly put out into the public awareness, I should say. There's more of an ability to have public awareness through social media, through the news, and we also don't have a global pandemic holding us back in any sort of way. So I think that there's a lot to be optimistic about as we're looking at these sort of things. So anyways, guys, this is the video I had for you. If you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing updates. If you guys want to see how I'm investing my money, long-term, short-term, whatever it is, I'm much more of a long-term investor, and so everything I've been doing over the course of the last few months and really the last year as a whole has been accumulating for my long-term positions. If you guys want to know what those positions are, what I'm buying, what I'm selling, if I get into NFTs or even outside of crypto, stocks, commodities, the uranium sector is really, really profitable, and that's what I'm personally invested in long term. So if you guys want to just simply see what I'm doing, how I'm positioning myself, big picture, links are in the description to go ahead and check out my private group. It's on my website. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. You guys are always going to have access to my group as long as I'm investing into any markets. It doesn't matter what it is. You guys are always going to see what that stuff is. So thank you all so much for the support. Thank you guys so much for staying the course of the cycles. You guys are all about to be rewarded if you're not already. Seeing the markets break out. We're just at the beginning of this cycle. There's still plenty more upside ahead. So even if you're missing out or feeling like you're missing out, you're still very early in the big picture. And I think that you guys are setting yourselves up and preparing for one of the biggest cycles, if not the biggest cycle in crypto history. So stick with it. Continue on as much as you can. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.